The following compilation features unsettling and spine-chilling tales sourced from Reddit's horror communities. Reader discretion is strongly advised. These narratives may contain graphic descriptions, psychological distress, and themes that could unsettle sensitive individuals. Proceed with caution, as immersion into these eerie stories may provoke fear, unease, and sleep disturbances. Enter this realm of Reddit's creepy horror stories at your own risk, as the line between reality and the macabre may blur within these chilling narratives. Eating. Such a natural thing. I love eating. It is no secret. My waistline will tell you that. I just can't stop myself. It started from a young age. Anything I could get my hands on, I would eat. It got to the point where my mother would hide food, put locks on the fridge, the freezer and all the cupboards. That really pissed me off. Stupid bitch, did she not understand how badly I needed it? As a sign of rebellion and a way to satiate my undying hunger, I found my own food. I started experimenting with bugs, a fly here, a worm there. The subtle pop as you bite into their little bodies, and the small, satisfying spray of their blood, I found so strangely satisfying. More. I had to have more. It just wasn't enough for me anymore. I needed something bigger. So I started my quest for a more hearty meal by walking round the village looking for my next snack. As I turned down one of the back roads, I found a small muntjac sprawled out in the middle of the road. It had clearly just been struck by a fast-moving vehicle. I wandered up to it, barely being able to contain my excitement. The sight was gloriously grotesque. Bits of mangled flesh flaying off its lifeless body, broken bones snapped in two. My belly began rumbling. I knew I should have taken it home, maybe cooked it, but I just couldn't wait. I leant down and licked up some of its blood seeping out of its wound, the copper taste hitting the back of my throat as I slurped down a helping of its rapidly cooling liquid. I had to stop teasing myself, skip the main course and straight to dessert. I started cutting and carving away little chunks of its flesh. It was so tender, probably thanks to the tires that decimated the small animal. I then started on the organs, a liver here and a lung there, and then the magnum opus, the heart, the grand crescendo of the body. I bit into the succulent organ, and blood began coating the inside of my mouth. It was phenomenal, almost arousing if you will. I had to have more, better, bigger. I rushed home feeling incredibly accomplished, a grin on my face that can only be described as pure glee. I made it to my front door and quietly creeped in. I couldn't have my mother seeing me like this. Covered in deer blood, she would have my sectioned. She mustn't see. She will make me see the bad man. There is nothing wrong with me, I'm just so fucking hungry. That night I laid in bed and my stomach began growling again. It's feeding time once more. It became unbearable. Agony. I need to eat. No point in telling my mother how hungry I was. She doesn't care. Says I'm already fat enough, that I've already eaten enough, that I'm greedy and pathetic. Why doesn't she understand I need it? Why doesn't she see how much my hunger drives me fucking crazy? Stupid whore always stops me from getting what I crave most. I'll show her just fucking hungry I am. I went down to the kitchen and found the perfect tool for meat prep. A meat cleaver. I started running my finger up the blade. It made my pants tighter as I began getting turned on at all the depraved and glorious schemes I could unleash with this magnificent stainless steel. The walk down the hallway felt like it would last a lifetime. I couldn't tell if it was anticipation, nerves, or second guessing. I slowly opened the door, making sure to minimize the creaks. I snuck over to the side of her bed and looked at her, blissfully sleeping peacefully while her only son is suffering. So selfish, so hateful. My rage boiled up and combined with my insatiable hunger. I brought the cleaver down on her throat. To my surprise, the blade didn't just glide through. I thought it would be like a warm knife through butter, but it was more like a dull hatchet through a log. She started grabbing the blade, trying to remove it. She tried to scream, but all that arose was a gurgling sound as her throat was filling with blood. She was choking, coughing up a thin mist of blood. She needed to be put down. Put the animal out of its misery. Don't let it suffer, I told myself. I brought the cleaver up once again. I unleashed another vicious assault. The silly animal tried blocking my strike with its hands. Of course, this defense was futile as my cleaver glided through her hand, severing it in two. How foolish. I then began an unstoppable onslaught, cutting and chopping away at my meal until she became nothing more than 150 pounds of delicious carcass. That ear-grating fucking gurgling noise eventually ceased. Finally, I can start the main course. I tried to savor the moment, but the hunger just took over. I couldn't help it. I became like a rabid animal devouring the corpse. Fuck the cleaver. I started using my bare hands, tearing off bits of flesh and cramming them into my scarlet red-covered mouth. I can't stop. I won't stop. Not till I'm done. Finally, I'm full. I don't think humans are supposed to live like this. Everyone in their own little box, in their own little world, living on top of each other, sharing the same walls, floors and ceilings. I know I have neighbours, but what's the hell's their name? Paul? Todd? Who gives a hell? I need to move out of this place because I think I'm going crazy. I know the old lady next door starts every morning on the balcony chain smoking cigarettes, like she doesn't want to see tomorrow. I know the guy upstairs cheats on his wife when she's at work, and I know the girl downstairs plays the clarinet. I know their work schedules. Hell, I even know their sleeping habits, but I don't know a single one of their names. Now, I know that sounds weird, but if you ever lived in an apartment, you know one of the biggest challenges is tuning everyone else's noise out. And I am disabled, so I don't leave my apartment much. But now I'm sure you're wondering what any of this has to do with anything. Well, the old lady next door, she was acting weird. I don't sleep much. It's been that way my entire life. My balcony has a nice view of the east, so I like to spend my mornings watching the sunrise. I've tried talking to my neighbour in the beginning, but she only ever muttered and glared, and so for the better part of the last 5 years living here, we spend every morning sitting in silence having a coffee and smoke. That is until the other morning. Now I'm always out on my balcony first when it's still dark out. I don't know why I like it out there so much, but right before sunrise, when the world's still dark and quiet, is the only time I ever feel at peace. Now I know. I mentioned her habit of smoking like she doesn't want to see tomorrow. And truth be told, that's a bit of projection on my part because some would probably say the same about me. So when I stepped out on my balcony for a 4 a.m. smoke, I nearly jumped out of my skin when I saw her standing there on her balcony, staring at me in complete dark. The light from my balcony's light reflecting back at me. "Are you okay?" I asked hesitantly, to no response. We both have spent a lot of time smoking together in awkward silence, and not once have I ever seen her on the balcony without a cigarette. So I asked, do you need a cigarette? I just got a new cart, and I could float you a pack." At this point, I never once felt so pressured to fill the empty silence. I lit my cigarette and tried ignoring her, but I could feel her stare burning a hole into my soul, and so I went back inside without finishing my smoke. I'll be the first to admit, she's a strange lady. I've never talked to her. I've never seen family visit. I know she smokes Camels, but I don't know much else about her. I tried forgetting about it, figuring she was going senile or something, and she'd eventually go back inside, but she didn't. Each time I went out for a smoke, there she was, staring daggers at me. After the 3rd or 4th time on the balcony, I started getting concerned, so I went to the building manager's apartment and informed him he might need to do a welfare check. I found out that day her name was Pam. Eventually she went back inside, and I was able to have a smoke. I never heard anything about what happened, and the next day we both had a quiet smoke in the morning, but I couldn't stop thinking about that night. A couple of days passed, and nothing out of the ordinary happened until one night I decided I wanted to get out of my apartment and catch a movie with some friends. As I'm leaving my apartment and close the door behind me, there she is. The doorway cracked, her face pressed between the door and the frame, eyes wide and the apartment behind her pitch black. "The shadow people are going to kill me. The shadow people are going to kill me. The shadow people are going to kill me." She whispered the sentence over and over. I'm a big guy, and I wouldn't say I get startled easily, but I almost shit a brick, and I could feel my heart racing as I got out of there as quickly as I could. Still to this day, her big green eyes are burnt into my memory. At this point, I hadn't slept in a while, and so after the movie, I went home and crashed. That next morning, I woke up to a commotion. Pam died that night. I still feel guilty. Maybe there was something I could have done to prevent it. But sometimes, in the middle of the night, I think about the only words she has ever spoken to me. The shadow people are going to kill me. The shadow people? It was like something you'd hear in a horror movie, but I tried to tell myself she was just demented, and it wasn't a big deal. But that's why I'm posting here tonight. Have you ever seen a shadow person? Because 2 nights ago, when I went out for a smoke, I saw one, standing on her balcony where she was that night. I couldn't see any features, but I could feel its eyes staring at me. I haven't been back on my balcony since. I told the building manager about it and asked if Pam had any family in the apartment because I could hear someone moving around in there. He told me no one should be in the apartment and he'd check it out. But if I'm going to be honest, the building manager is a lazy son of a bitch, and I don't think he ever did. I can still hear faint noises coming from her apartment, but tonight something happened and I'm freaking out. I was laying down trying to get some sleep, and from the corner of my eye I saw it again. There was a shadow of a person standing in my doorway. I jumped up and it walked out of my room, and when I ran out of my room with the baseball bat I keep at my nightstand, the living room was empty. What the hell was that? I can't help but think of Pam. Are the shadow people real? Are they here for me now? Is my mind playing tricks on because I still feel guilty? Until the other night, I would happily describe myself as a skeptic, but now I'm not so sure. I'm terrified. What should I do? Thank you for venturing into the darkness with us. If you dare to explore further, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more spine-tingling tales of horror and the supernatural. Remember, the shadows hold endless mysteries, waiting to be unveiled. Stay tuned for more bone-chilling stories as we continue to traverse the eerie depths of the unknown together. Until next time, may your dreams be free from the haunting echoes of our tales. Or perhaps not.